It's 10 to 9 at on a Thursday night.
Night, God, that always blows my mind. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's 10 to 10 in the morning here.
Yeah. Hi guys, it's Dave here from Metal Ruse, and I've got Dan Wilding from Carcass here. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Good to see you, man. How's things?
Really good, really good. It's hot here, so
Good.
it's probably not hot there.
Oh, dude, I can't even tell you how not hot it is. It's grey. It's raining. Oh, it's windy. It's just awful. I mean, it's the UK, so what could you expect?
Yeah, yeah. I got my I own a tattoo shop, so downstairs is a tattoo shop, and what you can
Mm,
see is a recording studio up in kind of a big
very
attic.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's killer.
But it's well, I can. It's still 28 degrees up here at night, so it's still
No, oh yeah, yeah, because it's nighttime. Oh my God,
yeah. So
dude, that's crazy.
yeah, 10 to 9 at night, still 28 degrees.
Dude, we'd be lucky to get 28 degrees in the middle of the hottest day in summer.
Yeah, so it's still hot.
Oh
We've
God.
just been through some like 43, 44-degree days, so
Oh my God.
mental.
Does it get a bit much?
It
Like
does.
the
It
weather?
does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can imagine. I
And
mean, this gets a bit much in a different way, the rain and the grey and the cold, but yeah, I'm sure the heat does as well.
yeah, well, I got English family, so I've got English
Mm.
blood. So the heat is, the orange hair. Yeah,
It takes its toll.
it does. It does. All right. So you guys are coming out, which is going to be exciting for Carcass. But yeah, just want to kind of see, what inspired you originally to pick up drums, and then kind of what led you to play in Carcass.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Good one. Well, starting drums, it was. I had a friend in primary school who got a drum kit. His dad was like a musician, and he got a drum kit. And I remember he brought it into school and played it in front of everybody, and I was just like, "What is this?"
This is
You
the
know.
coolest thing
This,
ever.
yeah, literally, this is the coolest thing ever. And then from that point, I remember just asking my parents for a drum kit for Christmas for like 3 years, and they were like, "No,
Yeah,
absolutely not."
yeah,
So I'd go around his house all the time, and just to try and play on his kit, and he taught me a few little, or his dad taught me a few little things. And then when I moved to secondary school, they started doing lessons in the secondary school as
yeah,
part of in the school, and so I said, please can I get lessons at least? So my parents uh, let me get lessons, and then I was playing for I think about maybe 6 months to a year, and they were like, "Oh God, he's into it. We're gonna have to
yeah.
buy him a kit."
Damn,
And
he's good at this.
yeah, yeah, and he wants
Yeah,
to do it more. That's
yeah,
right. So yeah, so and that was it, really. And then they got me a kit, and as I'm sure you know, it just went crazy like it always does, and I got obsessed with it, and
yeah,
the rest happened, and I guess moving on to obviously quite a lot happened from
yeah, yeah.
that point to Carcass, but
Of course.
I was completely obsessed, and I was one of those obsessive practicers, and all my school friends that I'm still friends with, there's only a few of them, but still, they always say they remember coming to knock for me, and my mum would be like, "Oh, sorry, he's drumming. He can't come out." So I wasn't the most social for those years, but I guess I put in the hours,
Put in the hard
and
yards.
and then yeah, exactly. And then as soon as I could, literally as soon as I could, I was trying to join bands,
Yeah,
and obviously it made like a secondary school band that was kind of covers and whatever. And I remember at the time it just was, I was like, this isn't serious enough for me. I want to be in a serious band. And this is when I was like 14 or 15, and I went on. It would have been some kind of forum
yeah,
way before,
yeah, yeah.
it was dial up. I'm sure you remember dial
Yeah,
up.
yeah. When the internet was new.
Yeah, exactly. And I found this band in a close to me in Brighton, and they were looking for a drummer. They're a death metal band, and I just emailed the guy. I think I was like 15, and yeah, and he sent me a bunch of stuff, and I ended up playing for that band, and they were touring around the UK, and I had to take time off school and all kinds of stuff to go on tour with this band, and
Yeah,
then that band ended, and then Ironically, I tried out for the Black Dahlia Murder when they were looking for a drummer.
Okay. Yeah.
That was when I was 17.
Yep.
Obviously, that didn't pan out because I wasn't quite good enough yet. But after that, I remember after that, it kind of got a fire under me because I was like, "Oh, I'm not good enough, but I will be good enough," you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and then very shortly after that, Aborted were looking for a drummer, and I tried out for them, and then I got
Yep.
into Aborted. Toured with them for a few
Great.
years, and that kind
Great
of brings
band.
around to the yeah, oh, absolutely, and they're still absolutely smashing it. The new stuff is insane.
It is.
Um, and yeah, that's how I met Carcass because Carcass did their reunion tour in the US, and Aborted got the support slot on that.
Oh yeah.
And then yeah, and we toured with Carcass, and then I remember meeting Bill on that tour. We were at the Rainbow in LA, of course, of all places,
Yeah.
and me and him were having a chat, and he said to me, "Oh, where are you from?" And I said, "Oh, I'm from England." And he was like, "Oh, I thought you'd be from Belgium because Aborted is a Belgian band."
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh no, I'm from England." And then obviously for whatever reason he remembered that, and then yeah, a few years later, I got a random Facebook message from Jeff saying, "Oh, can I call you? What's your number?" And I thought, "Oh God, what have I done? Jeff's gonna have a go at me about something." I never in a million years thought it was going to be, do you want to try out for the band? But yeah, it was, and then yeah, here I am now, 12 years on, which is kind of crazy.
That's crazy. Actually, going back to you're saying 14, 15. I
Mm,
have a Black and Death band, and we're all kind of. I'm 43, but we're
mm.
all kind of in between 25 to that. We've just put on a 14-year-old drummer, and this kid is
Wow.
amazing. So he's just starting to tour with us now.
Yeah, that's killer. Well, I
Yeah,
think there's a thing about, I'm sure you know as well. There's a thing about being that age where if you've got the drive, you can pretty much do anything because there's no responsibilities really outside of school.
and your back and knees
Um,
don't hurt.
yeah, yeah, you're not in physical pain.
Yeah,
You got nothing else to think about,
yeah,
and you've got that that like invincible. I'm just going to go for it. I can do it. Whereas as you get older, as you say, everything hurts.
yeah,
You got everything else takes up all your time. Like yeah, even as a quite unquote
yeah,
professional drummer,
yeah.
I still don't get to practice anywhere near as much as I did when I was a teenager, and it's my job now. Do you know? Which
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
crazy because because life just gets in the way as you get older. So that's killer, man. I hope he keeps smashing
Yeah,
it, and
yeah.
hopefully he's
Really
gonna be
interesting.
probably already better than me. So
I'm pretty impressed by your drumming. So,
thanks, man.
so going into kind of influences like inside and outside of metal. Obviously, you've done metal for most of your time, but where have your kind of
Mm.
influences come from?
Yeah, good question. I mean, as again going back to being a teenager, when I was younger, it was all metal, especially death metal. I was totally
Yeah,
obsessed with all the extreme metal drummers, and definitely at that period, I think because of my age, I'm 35 now, and at that time period, there was a real boom with, especially in the drum world, with extreme drummers like people like Derek Roddy and
yeah,
George Colliers from Nile, John Longstreth, all these kind of people. They kind of became like mini celebrities in the drum world, which had never really happened before. Like extreme metal drumming was a little bit like, it was a bit of a joke in the drumming world, but these guys kind of brought it out as this kind of this legitimate thing. So I was totally obsessed with all those guys, especially as a teenager and in my early 20s, and it was all about blast beats and I want to be the fastest guy on the
yeah, yeah,
planet and all that kind of stuff. But then I've always liked other music. I've always liked electronic music. I've always liked I like pop music. I really like pop music, like
okay,
cheesy bubblegum pop music. I've
yep,
always been in, and now with kids, I have to listen to that all the
yeah,
time.
yep,
But yeah, so now, and as I get older, I rarely ever listen to extreme drummers unless there's someone who's really like who really stands out to me.
yep,
Now a lot of drummers that I listen to, or a lot of music is a lot more groove based. Like, I'm just trying to think. I listen to it, Snarky Puppy. I listen to a lot of Snarky Puppy.
okay, yep,
It's like fusion kind of stuff. I like a lot of fusion as well, like Dave Weckl band and trying to think, Cassiopeia, Japanese fusion band. Uh, Yeah, so now it's kind of more groove based. Obviously, I still consider myself completely a metalhead, and I
Yeah,
always will. It's kind of like metal to me is kind of like it's like putting on an old pair of shoes. Like I just feel comfortable
yeah, you know
in like go. Yeah, exactly. Going to metal shows, I know everything about the metal community and the metal like a you know that kind of thing. And but so that's still my identity for sure. But when I sit down and really listen to music, it's normally that kind of stuff, a bit more groove based kind of, or again like electronic music as well. I like electronic music, and I try with Carcass especially because Bill's really big into kind of 70s groove rock, especially.
Okay, yeah,
I'm sure you can probably tell by the bell bottoms, but
yeah, yeah,
and so he's introduced me to a bunch of groove stuff that I didn't really know existed. So with the Carcass stuff, I try and bring as much of that groovy kind of non-metal stuff in with my kind of already blast beat double
yeah,
bass
yeah,
drum kind of history, and that's my current journey is to
yeah.
try and fuse those two together, which, and as you know, it's like anything on any instrument, it's a constant journey. You've never mastered anything, let alone everything.
No,
So, so it's one of those things that I feel like you're always in a different phase of what you want to achieve.
always
And at the
learning.
moment, yeah, exactly. Every day's a school day, as they say. But so yeah, my thing now is to try and get as good groove wise as I can, and then I don't know how long that's going to last.
Yeah, yeah.
That's probably and then there'll be another phase, I'm sure, where where I try and do something else. But
Well, that's what
yeah, it's
keeps you
fun.
wanting to do it, though, isn't it? Like,
Exactly, and as I'm sure it can be anything. It can be you can watch a video on YouTube, or you can hear a band that you've never heard before, or you can hear a song, and it kicks off something in your head like, oh God, I want to be better at that, or I want to learn how to do that. That's cool, so you never really know where you're going to go and which direction it's going to take, but that's what's exciting, I think,
yeah,
about
yeah,
this whole
the
annoying
whole
process
journey.
that we've yeah, exactly.
And so you use Tama drums?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So what kit do you use for Carcass? Do you have a certain
I've
kit or?
yeah, I've got a couple of kits. I'm very lucky to have a couple of kits. I use a Star Classic, a couple of Star Classics. I've got Star Classic Maple, which is probably my favorite kit, and they've got a newer kit called Walnut Birch, Star Classic Walnut Birch, which
Yep.
is that's amazing as well.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
still, yeah, it's got a lot of attack,
Yeah,
which is yeah, because the birch and the walnuts are pretty kind of what's the word? It's got like a real
for a bright
thud
wood.
to it.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So it's really kind of slappy, if that makes sense. If
yeah,
that
yeah,
makes
yeah,
any
totally.
sense.
Yeah,
Especially the toms, like they've got a real kind of slap to them. But yeah, unfortunately, well, I don't get to use my kits that much for touring because whenever we tour, it's
higher kits.
normally not in the UK. So so most of the time I use my Maple, which is in the garage,
Yeah,
my drum room at the
yeah,
moment, and then the other kits in the storage space. So that one's kind of just not don't want to say collecting dust, but especially over the past few months, it has been
yeah,
unfortunately. So, but yeah, and in Australia, I don't know, and New Zealand, obviously, I don't know what I'm going to get. We've got like a list of all the things that we would prefer to have,
yeah,
and obviously Tama kit is on there, Tama Star Classic Maple if possible, but you never know what you're going to get, and
that's right.
that's part of the joy. You don't know whether it's going to be a 16-inch kick drum or like you
Yeah,
hope that it's not, but you never know.
yeah,
Especially there's certain countries, especially you go to, and you're like, oh god, this is going to be a nightmare. So,
yeah,
but yeah, Australia and New Zealand is normally everything is very very smooth and very well run, and or the backline's always good.
yeah.
So
It's usually pretty good.
yeah, it is, and it's I was saying in the last interview, it's one of those parts of the world that we're always just very excited to go back to. So, and it's been ages since we were there
Yeah,
last time. So, and COVID messed that up. We were meant to come over in 2019, and then literally like 2 weeks before we were meant to leave, obviously the whole world shut down.
yeah,
So,
that's right.
so we're very excited to be back to actually come this time. Fingers crossed. Obviously, hopefully nothing else happens, but.
What's your favorite thing with Australia? What's your favorite part?
It's a good question. I was trying to think about this, and it's hard to say specifics. But there's something about me and Bill talk about this all the time. There's something about being down there that is down under, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
That's there's a charm. There's a charm to it, and it's the people, it's the cities, it's the landscape. The food's really good as well.
Yeah.
There's a familiarity there too, obviously because of obviously being British
Yep.
and not saying we're the same, but there's definitely
No,
there's
yeah.
obviously there's a familiar the
Yeah.
what's the word, the sense of humor is similar.
Yep.
The it's like, I don't know, it's hard to put into words really, but there's a real charm, and whenever you're there, I just kind of feel happy and comfortable when I'm there.
Yeah.
But it's obviously so different from the UK in so many ways. But yeah, just love being there, and the shows are always cool, crowds are always great. It's always a comfortable place to tour. I know that sounds really like spoilt, but you'd be surprised at how uncomfortable it can be to tour
Yep.
in certain places, and Australia and New Zealand is that is not the case. It always feels comfortable. So it's just, yeah, I can't think of specifics technically, but yeah,
Yeah.
just the vibe of being down there is always a pleasure. So we were absolutely gutted when the last one got cancelled. So we're all very, very excited to be coming back this time.
Yeah. I can't wait. I'll see you in Sydney, but
Oh, awesome!
should be good.
Well, speaking of, I'd say Sydney is one of my favourite cities,
Yep.
and I know probably people will hate that because it's the one everyone talks about, isn't
Yeah.
it? But I remember when we did. I played for a band called Heaven Shall Burn, and we did a tour down there,
Yep.
and we had a day off in Sydney, and I remember just waking up early because it was jet lag probably, and I just went for a walk around the city for hours, and I just remember thinking, there's not many cities in the world where you could just walk around and keep finding new stuff and not
Yeah.
feeling like you're going to get mugged or like all
Yeah.
kinds of
Pretty
stuff.
sedate.
So yeah, and it was, and I remember at that moment just being like, this is an amazing city. This is really, really cool. So, and I don't know if you know, but Bill, our guitar player, he lived there. He lived in Sydney for years.
Okay.
So he's got a real, or maybe it was Melbourne. No, it was Sydney. It was Sydney.
Yeah.
So he's got a real kind of romantic
Feels
relationship
like a
with
little bit of home.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, we just love it, and we always say that if we could only tour Australia, New Zealand, and Japan forever, then we'd be happy. So so we're very happy to come back.
It's really firing at the moment on international tours. They're like, obviously COVID happened, we had nothing, and
Yeah.
we're so far from everything that we were the last
Yeah.
to reopen to that kind of stuff. But
Mm,
it's just absolutely mental the amount of bands that
mm,
are coming, which is really good. Like for our
yeah.
metal scene,
Mm,
obviously it's got quite getting on the shows and stuff has been like there's a whole lot of work to do getting
yeah.
on those
Yeah.
bigger
Absolutely.
shows, but it's good that they're there.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
And that's what, because our promoter, when we were talking about doing this, um, because since we released the last album, we obviously wanted to tour everywhere that we could, especially after COVID as well. And Australia, New Zealand was one of the places that we really wanted to go to. And we got in touch with the promoter down here, and he was like, yeah, we can't do it for a while because there's so many tours coming up." And we were like,
Yeah.
"What?"
Yeah.
It was like from when we started speaking to when it actually kind of started moving, it was at least a year.
Yep.
We were talking, well, early last year, maybe even it was the end of the year before, about coming to Australia, and he was like, "Yeah, it's not going to be possible for a while because there's so many tours already booked." And we were like, "Crap, come on, we got to do, we
Yeah.
need to get down there." Which it's amazing though, like, and that's traditionally, that's what happens in Europe, that's what happens in North America, and I guess with Australia, it was one of those places that, I guess, because it's so remote, as you say, that it was more tricky for bands to come out. But now that seems to be really changing, and that's again for as you say, especially for the Australian metal scene, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It sucks for us because we just want to come out all the time, but we can't. So
Yeah, well, I guess you've got the infrastructure that's of say venues. You know, there's only so many
Yeah,
venues, whereas
exactly.
obviously London, you've got a whole lot more venues, or
Yeah,
Berlin,
yeah.
or whatever. But we're
Mm,
still limited to our kind of metal venues.
yeah, of
So,
course. Yeah,
and
of course. And
they're
also,
full.
that, yeah, yeah, it seems like it, which is amazing. And again,
Yeah,
like even though Australia is, especially Australia, is such a big country, the population isn't wildly huge.
no,
So again, like, and there's only so many metalheads for for all these tours. So the promoters aren't just going to be like, yeah, we'll just bring all the bands because
yeah,
no one's got infinite money. So
no,
so it makes total sense. Like I get it. But again, it was for us. It was just like, what? We're gonna have to wait that long before before we can do a tour.
yeah.
But it's safe to say we're incredibly happy to finally make it happen. So.
Cool, cool. All right. Well, we're about time. So, I thank you heaps for the interview, and I can't wait
No
to see you
worries, man.
down
It's a
here.
pleasure. Yeah, no, same. And it's another note is coming down with Black Dahlia Murder is a blessing, of course, but it's also a curse because there's such a bloody good live band that
Yeah,
we're gonna have to, try and bring something out of the bag to try.
I'm sure you've got it. I'm sure you've got it.
Well, fingers crossed. Fingers
Yeah.
crossed.
All right. Thanks heaps for your time, and I'll see you in Sydney.
Absolutely. Thanks very much, man. Speak to you then.
All right. Bye bye.
Cheers.